Do you want to learn the basics of working with vinyl cutters and heat transfer vinyl? Well, the content you're about to watch is going to help you with that. This was previously recorded in our Heat Press for Profit virtual event in January 2021. Jenna delivers some awesome content to help you get started and grow your business. We hope you enjoy.
I'm Jenna Sackett, your host for this next class, all on vinyl cutters and heat transfer vinyl, a beginner's guide to getting started with a new piece of equipment, whether that be a small 12-inch cutter such as a Silhouette, Cameo, a Cricut Explore Air 2, or even some of those more advanced vinyl cutters that range from 15-inch to 24 inches. Today we're going to be working with the Graphtec CE6000 and talking a lot about blade depth and different ways to really work with these machines to really maximize how you're producing your jobs for your customers. We're also going to be talking about different heat transfer vinyl finishes and different things that you can be using to fulfill these jobs for your customers. We'll start with the basics, review that heat transfer vinyl, and also talk about different types of heat transfer vinyl that can allow you to print unique fabrics and also print unique finishes. That's one thing that a lot of heat printers consider heat transfer vinyl for, because they're allowed to get a lot of unique finishes. So we're going to be talking about some of those finishes and how they can build unique profit opportunity for you and those different customer types or job types that you're receiving. All right, so let's talk about why vinyl cutters and heat transfer vinyl can be so lucrative for an addition to your business as a heat printer. There are so many options out there for large jobs such as screen print transfers and things like that that allow you to fulfill orders at a larger job size for a good price point, just because of the way that those price breaks work for heat transfers. But there should be a solution for those smaller jobs where you're doing personalization, maybe one-offs, or maybe jobs that range anywhere from 12 pieces to 24 pieces, where it just might not make enough sense to order transfers for. That's exactly where heat transfer vinyl comes into play and allows you to get a good price point for these types of jobs. Now, there are a ton of opportunities in the marketplace for these. So let's review those real quick. Our top opportunities are customization for local business, names and numbers for athletic associations or local teams and leagues. You can print for local clubs and hobbies and recreational teams as well. Promotional products for corporations and also some of those other local businesses beyond just your restaurants and pubs. And personalization. So as I mentioned earlier, personalization, really having a vinyl cutter really helps with that, because you can get such a fast turn by having heat transfer vinyl and a vinyl cutter. It's really a customer comes in, they want something really quick. You know that you have the ability to fulfill that quickly because you're working with heat transfer vinyl and a vinyl cutter. And then, of course, printing on demand. So that's what heat transfer vinyl and vinyl cutting really solves and allows you to reach some of those unique job opportunities that you don't necessarily want to turn away. Right, so this is going to allow you to broaden your horizons in the different job types that you're able to serve. All right, so now that we know the opportunity and we know this is something that could benefit our business, let's talk a little bit more about what heat transfer vinyl is and how it works with the Graphtec CE6000 or any other type of vinyl cutter. So heat transfer vinyl is a vinyl that has a permanent adhesive that is heat activated. So the product that I'm going to show you is known as CAD-CUT thermofilm. This is Stahls' tried and true heat transfer vinyl, and it is a single layer that is laminated to a carrier. This is important because this allows us to cut our designs in a mirror image in this roll, and this tacky and sticky carrier is going to keep our design on here so that we can weed away the excess material and expose our design so that we can then heat transfer it. All right, so this is going to make a lot more sense if you can just see the process and how it all works. So we'll go ahead and load this into the vinyl cutter so that you can see exactly how this works. All right, so our vinyl is going to set on the back of our vinyl cutter. And that's what I love about working with some of these larger vinyl cutters, is it actually will hold your roll for you. And then I'm just gonna feed this in through the back. Now this differs from some of your other vinyl cutters, such as your 12-inch vinyl cutters, like the Silhouette or Cameo, or the Silhouette Cameo or the Cricut that we were talking about earlier. Those vinyl cutters do require a cutting mat, and you actually load the material through the front of the cutter. So if you're working with some of those cutters, that's going to be the biggest difference that you notice with the 24-inch cutters whenever you are starting to work with it. The other thing is you have adjustable pinch rollers, okay? So I'm able to move these wherever I need to be able to hold the material in place. But one thing you want to pay attention to on these machines is your indicators, all right? So these blue lines on the GraphTech, Roland has white lines, but those are your indicators on where your pinch rollers can be that will hold your material in place, because there are grips on the bottom roller that is allowing to feed your material in and out. So that's where the pinch rollers will actually hold that in place so that your product isn't getting off track. Now you want to make sure that you lock your pinch rollers in, and there's a little lever on the back side of the GraphTech that I'll just pull forward, and then my material is locked in. As soon as I do that, it's going to tell my cutter that I just loaded in a new product. All right, so I'm going to have options from 1 through 4. 1 is the roll that's going to tell my blade to start at the front edge. The second option is roll 2, which means I just loaded in a roll, but I want my blade to start in its current position. And then I have option 3, which allows me to load in a sheet or a scrap piece of material. And then number 4 is just continue. I want to be able to tell my blade where to start, and since I loaded my material so far back on the roll, I want it to move up to the front edge. So I'm going to select number 1, and that's going to tell my blade to go to the front right-hand side of my material. All right, so anytime you load in a new product or a new roll of vinyl or a sheet of vinyl, you want to make sure that you are doing a test cut before you send any design. All right, so to do a test cut is very simple. We're just going to hit the condition/test button, and then a new menu is going to pop up for me. So right now, this is going to tell me that I have condition number 3 selected. Right, that's just my preset. So with the GraphTech CE6000, or really any of the GraphTech vinyl cutters, you are able to set presets up to 8. So that means that I can have preloaded downforce settings, speed settings, and blade settings for each preset. That way, and you're also able to name them. So if you're working with, let's say, 3 different heat transfer vinyls, one of them being thermofilm, maybe another one is a thicker product like our soft foam, and then maybe it's another special effect such as glitter. All of those do require different vinyl cutting settings, so you'll be able to set those presets up in here so that you don't have to adjust those every time. All right, so number 1 is letting me know what condition I'm set at, which is number 3. Then it's telling me what tool, which is what blade I have in, and then what my speed is and my force. So my force is set to 20, and thermofilm is a thicker product, so I'm going to test it at that 20 downforce, 20 grams of downforce. So to do my cut test, it's indicating that I need to hit one of my arrows, so I'm just going to hit that arrow, and it's going to ask me exactly what I want to do a test cut of. I'm testing the force, so I'm going to hit number 1, and it's going to send 3 cuts. Those 3 cuts are going to allow me to take my weeding tool and do a test of the weeding. So whenever let me rephrase. The reason that we send 3 is because we are getting 3 different down forces here. The middle one is the down force that I have set, which is 20. The one to the left is down 1, which is 19, and the one to the right is up 1. So it's giving me 3 different options so I can see what is weeding best. Like I said, thermofilm is a thicker product. So my last one weeded the best. I was getting a little bit of stick on the one corner for the other 2. So that is indicating that I need to increase my force an additional number. All right, so we started at 20. I'm going to hit the enter key to let them know that I'm done testing. I'm going to go to 4, and I'm going to increase my force by 1. All right. So you really want to get in the habit. That's really one great best practice whenever you're working with a vinyl cutter, is getting those test cuts in anytime you're loading in a new material, or if you had some downtime with your vinyl cutter and you don't remember what you cut last. Just always get in the habit of doing that test cut before you send a job or a design, because that's going to decrease your chance of wasted material and costs in material as well. Now, I want to send a design to cut so that you guys can see exactly how awesome this machine is, because the speed and the amount that it can cut in such a short amount of time is truly amazing, especially if you're working with any vinyl cutters that have a stepper motor. Right, so that's another big difference between your 12-inch cutters, such as the Silhouette or the Cricut, and a larger cutter such as this 24-inch Graphtec or even Roland. They run off of a servo motor, which allows the blade to cut designs very fast. This is really helpful for people that are fulfilling a lot of jobs with heat transfer vinyl. All right, so we're gonna head to CAD-Works Live, a free online artwork program that allows you to cut and design heat transfer vinyl projects for free. All right, so CAD-Works Live, all you have to do is create an account with an email and a password, and then you have access to a variety of templates, fonts, clip art, and everything that you need to really get started with heat transfer vinyl. Why I love this program is because I'm not a graphic artist by any means. So this allows me to come in here and be able to create basic designs for people and output them quickly. All right, so you can see the design that I have loaded in here, all created within this platform. I used from our fonts. We have already preloaded fonts in here for you, or you can upload your own and save them in your own fonts folder. But this was all created within CAD-Works. Now, to send this to my vinyl cutter, what I have to do is go to File and select Send to Vector Cut. All right, so once I hit Send to Vector Cut, it's going to show up as a download, and I'm going to double click this. Now, CAD-Works Live is a free online artwork software, so you can access the software from any computer because it's all web-based, but Vector Cut is what your computer is going to need a download of to be able to send that artwork file to your vinyl cutter. All right, so very important that you do have Vector Cut downloaded, and that is accessed right in the CAD-Works Live domain. So as soon as you log in and you're getting started with there will be an option to download Vector Cut. All right, so you can see my design is loaded into Vector Cut. And the first thing I want to do with my artwork is mirror it. All right, so anytime you're working with heat transfer vinyl, if you're familiar with working with sign vinyl, that's where heat transfer vinyl differs. You do want to make sure you are sending your image in a negative, or not a negative, but a reverse of the file, because you want to make sure that whenever you're weeding and you flip it over to apply the adhesive to the garment, that it's going to be in a positive image. All right, so that's how heat transfer vinyl works. It's good to just get into the habit of always mirroring your image. All right, so Once again, this is VectorCut. This is the middleman of sending your design from CADWorks to your vinyl cutter. How this works, you're going to see up here on the right-hand side what vinyl cutter we have loaded in here. So this says GraphTech CE6000, so I do want to make sure that's selected. And to take it a step further, I'm going to go to Properties and also make sure that my printer port is set up on GraphTech CE6000 as well. All right, if I know that that's all good, I'll select OK. And then I can send my design to cut. Right, so there are a lot of additional features within VectorCut, and I urge you to, if you are going to design in CADWorks Live and send your designs to your vinyl cutter straight from CADWorks Live, to download VectorCut and get in here and really play around with it. If I was sending multiple colors in a design, I would be able to select by color to make sure I'm loading in the right heat transfer vinyl of my design. I also have the ability to change my material widths. So I'm going to show you an example of that specifically because right now I have my width set to 18 inches, but I'm only working with a 15-inch roll. All right, so I can adjust this. And you can see that where my roll starts just shifted to the left. And I want to adjust my width now. So this is for my offset. This is going to tell my blade exactly where it needs to start cutting the design. All right, so I want to make sure this is set over on, let's do like 14.5. And then I can move my design manually, or I can go to auto origin, which is the option down here. Now you'll notice in output options that I do have the box next to UltraWeed selected. This is another one of those best practices. So UltraWeed actually puts a box around your design so you have a start point for your weeding. This also helps with less waste. So that if I'm just cutting one of these designs as opposed to ganging them up across multiple or across the roll, it's going to allow me to trim this up and save my other material for another job. All right, so now I'm having less waste with this project. All right, so we are going to be heat applying the thermofilm onto a Sport Tech fan jersey. And this is a size large. So my design, let's see, my dimensions are 7.6 by 9. 9 inches in height is about where I want to be. I don't want to go too oversized on the jersey, so I'm going to stick with those dimensions. And as long as I'm happy and I'm seeing exactly what I need to see, for the job that I'm producing right on this screen, I can hit Send Cut Job. Now, before I do that, there's one more thing I need to do at the vinyl cutter, okay? So we have our test cuts. We want to make sure that we're not cutting over those. So I want to set a new origin for where I want my blade to start, all right? So I'm just feeding out my material by hitting this down arrow. All right, so you have the ability to adjust where your blade starts that way. And then I need to just hold in the origin button until I hear that beep. All right, then it'll let me know that my new origin point is set, and it's going to tell my blade to start exactly where I left it. Now, if I was loading in material of a design that I already cut over here because I need to cut two and I forgot or something like that, you know, things happen. I would have the ability to come over here and set my blade as well. So you can set your blade wherever you need to on the roll. It is very important that you do set that origin point, because if you don't and I decide to send this job without doing it, this cutter can sometimes have a mind of its own, as a lot of technology does. And it could just choose a random spot in the roll to start cutting my job, all right? So I could technically lose like several feet or several inches of material and not be able to make up for that cost, okay? So another little tip, always make sure you're setting your origin point when you're working with a GraphTech or a Roland, all right? Once my origin point is set, all I have to do is select Send Cut Job. and it's going to send my design to cut. All right, I am working with a speed of, let's see, 20, and my force is 21. I also have a 45-degree blade loaded in there. So 45-degree blade, there's also 60-degree blades, there's also twill blades, there's carbide blades, there's a lot of different blade options. We're working with a standard carbide blade that is a 45-degree angle, which is perfect for cutting thermofilm. And a lot of my other basic matte heat transfer vinyls, specifically UltraWeed, which we'll be working with here shortly. But while this is cutting, let's talk a little bit about heat transfer vinyl and the different options that you have out there. So heat transfer vinyl, it all looks the same, but it's not all made the same. So you want to make sure you're working with quality products, such as what we're going to be working here today. Why these are considered quality is because they last up to 50 washes in a wash cycle. That's not something that's going to easily fall off of the garment. Now, thermofilm, I wanted to make sure to talk to you guys about because it's one of our most popular heat transfer vinyls, and it's really great not only for t-shirts and hoodies, but also for jerseys. And jerseys are really popular beyond just teams and leagues. They're also a popular way to do spirit wear and things like that. So thermofilm is definitely one of those products you want to consider when getting into heat transfer vinyl. Now, another little tip, always use a blade to cut your material so that you can get a nice straight cut. That way, unlike what I just did, that way you're able to start as close to the edge as possible and be able to have a straight cut here so that you're not wasting any material, right? So getting, probably noticing a theme at this point, it's important to save your costs in heat transfer vinyl by minimizing as much waste as possible. All right, so that is the first step of heat transfer vinyl. So there's 3 steps when working with heat transfer vinyl. First is cutting out your design, and I am going to trim this because it's important to save any of your scraps because you never know what type of job that you could get that would require this amount of heat transfer vinyl. I could get like several left chest logos on here if need be, and I could easily load this back into my vinyl cutter and be able to send designs to cut on this scrap piece of vinyl. So always save your scraps. All right, so we cut out our heat transfer vinyl. That's step 1. Step 2 is the weeding process. All right, so I'm going to weed a portion of this so that you guys can see what this looks like. So I'm basically just peeling away the excess material, and I'm using that weed border as my start point for weeding away this material. All right, so when you're working with heat transfer vinyl, you can weed it on any flat surface, but if you really want to speed up your weeding process, you can add heat to it, right? And there are tools for this, such as a weeding panel, right? And this is just a small version of the weeding table that we offer, where it's a lot larger size. But this is heated up to about 110 degrees, which is just enough to allow this material to release from the carrier and just peel away like butter. All right, so it just makes the weeding process that much simpler because when you're working with a tacky backing of heat transfer vinyl, which thermofilm has, I'm sure you can hear that tack, then it's just an easier peel. And when you're working with a lot of heat transfer vinyl, this is definitely one of those no-brainer investments because it just speeds up your production time by 50%. All right, a couple more pieces to peel out. And what really helps with the weeding process as well is looking at your design. So my computer screen is up next to me, so I know exactly what needs to come out. Looks like I could have had a little bit deeper of a force for some of these smaller pieces. So sometimes whenever that happens, it is better to weed on a colder surface. If you're working with some more intricate designs where the blade maybe didn't cut deep enough. So I am actually gonna remove this from the heat and weed the rest of that out. But if you are weeding larger designs like names, numbers, anything that has a lot of excess material that needs to be weeded away, then that heated surface is really going to help save time in this process. But you can definitely tell when I'm weeding this away that I could have probably increased my force probably 2 more, because even on the cold surface, some of these pieces are still lifting. But what's nice about having a tacky carrier is I can lift these pieces up and readjust them to where they need to be for my design. So one of the benefits of working with a product that has that sticky backing, because I can replace different pieces of my design. Right now I'm just trimming out. You can also just weed this away, whatever your preference is. All right, and this is gonna go on this jersey. All right, so once again, thermofilm, really great for t-shirts, hoodies. It is a thicker material, so definitely some of your more heavyweight cotton tees, but definitely essential for jerseys. Reason being is thermofilm is great for using on garment dyed products because it inhibits those dyes from migrating through. And if you're familiar with dye migration from maybe some of your other heat transfers, when working with a heat press and you've seen your whites turn pink if you're applying it on red, that's because those products are not dye inhibiting or dye blocking. Thermofilm inhibits any dyes from migrating through so that the whites stay white, and that's exactly why I wanted to show you thermofilm on a jersey so that you know that there is a solution out there for it. All right, so using the Hotronix Auto Clam, I'm going to load this on, and this is a standard 16 by 20 platen. It has a nice non-stick cover sheet on there, so I don't have to worry about my adhesive seeping through the mesh of this jersey and sticking to the back. All right, so threadability is key when working with jerseys for that particular reason. Now I do want to make sure I'm doing a preheat. So I'm going to cover with a cover sheet and press. Not only is this allowing me to warm up my garment, release any moisture or wrinkles from the fabric, but it's also allowing me to test my pressure. Right, so one thing that you're probably very familiar with at this point with heat transfers is knowing different time, temperature, and pressures. All right, so thermofilm, it applies at 320 degrees at a medium pressure for 8 to 10 seconds. All right, so I want to make sure that my press is set up for that. All right, I'm pressing a variety of different transfers today, so I am going to leave my temperature at 300, but just know that thermofilm does apply at 320. All right, but I do want to adjust my time. I'm going to set that for 8 seconds and lock that down and let that heat apply. All right, I can also see my pressure readout here. Time, temperature, and pressure is key to working with quality products and getting that durability you need for your jobs. Thermofilm's a hot peel, so I can go ahead and remove that carrier. And it does have a semi-gloss finish, which is very popular in different print finishes, right? So it's not super glossy, but does have that semi-gloss look. You can see that the white is staying white. And even though we have applied to mesh, we don't have to worry about that adhesive being bothersome or anything through the other side. And it also didn't stick to the back of the jersey either, because we did thread this on the heat press. All right, so really easy product to work with. And as you can see, the process with vinyl cutting is pretty simple. As soon as you are used to getting the heat transfer vinyl loaded into the vinyl cutter, working with those pinch rollers, knowing which blade is recommended, and that's one thing that we'll always have your back on, is recommending your downforce, your speed, and what blade you should be using. So we always have those settings included in your orders of heat transfer vinyl with us, so you know exactly what you need to be plugging into your machine to get it to work right for you, and not risk any headache with trying to figure it out on your own. So again, CAD-CUT thermofilm, really great durable product. The one we're most known for in the industry. And our second most known heat transfer vinyl is CAD-CUT UltraWeed. All right, so beyond, and that's why we talk about different heat transfer vinyls for different uses. The same way you're probably using different heat transfers and screen print transfers for different uses now. Heat transfer vinyl is gonna work the same way. So thermofilm, as I mentioned, is a thicker product. Great for dye inhibiting solutions, and also feels great on some of your heavier weight t-shirts and hoodies. We also offer another really popular product known as CAD-CUT UltraWeed. And this is new for us in 2020. And it's made in the USA. So really easy to access product and super easy to work with. What I absolutely love about this product is its low temp application. So it applies at 260 degrees, which means that I can apply tri-blends without any scorching. All right, so this tri-blend sourced from Sanmar, it is the Sport Tech brand. I'm able to actually drop the temperature down to 260 degrees. So that's a really low temp for a lot of heat transfer vinyls out there. And it also allows me to be able to do multiple colors in an application as well. Now, when you're working with heat transfer vinyl, I want you to keep this in mind, that anytime you have multiple colors in a design, that's how many colors you need to load into your vinyl cutter, cut out, weed, and then heat apply. All right, so since I'm working with a 2-color application, that means I needed to load in my Royal UltraWeed, cut and weed this design out, and do the same thing for the white UltraWeed as well. All right, so that's one thing to consider when you're accepting jobs from your customers and you're considering what solution you're going to use to fulfill that job, is how many colors are in it. What's the intricacy of the design? That's gonna help you decide whether heat transfer vinyl is the solution for that job or not. 2-color design, not unheard of for heat transfer vinyl, especially if the job is low quantity enough and you're not spending too much time in the weeding process. But I did wanna just kind of touch on having multiple colors in a design when you're working with heat transfer vinyl, just so you can get in the mindset of how that is, what that's going to look like in the production for you at your business. All right, so I'm gonna load this on and show you a 2-color application, which is very, very simple. So I am working with a V-neck, so I'm just gonna drop that off the front so that that's not causing any uneven pressure. Of course, we're gonna do a preheat. All right, so whenever you are working with a 2-color design, we first need to figure out what is going to apply first. All right, so I always start with the largest part of my design and then go from there. With CAD-CUT UltraWeed, it helps speed up your time spent at the heat press because it has a tack method solution, which means I can just tack this for a quick 2 seconds. This is going to eliminate any shrinking in the heat transfer vinyl. And it's a hot peel, so I can go ahead and remove that carrier right after that 2 seconds is complete. And now I can drop in my white design. Now, one little tip that I always tell customers for working with a layered design like this is you are going to want to tack the second color as well. So we have our UltraWeed placed first. Where this Mylar carrier is overlapping the first layer that was put down, that could actually cause an indentation or a score mark on there. So what I want to do is eliminate that from happening, and I can do that by just tacking this second layer for a couple of seconds, the same way we did the first one. I'm going to remove that carrier, and then I'll apply for the full application. So as I mentioned, UltraWeed applies as low as 260 degrees, but for that adhesive to truly cure on there, it's going to need a 10 to 15 second application in total. Right, and that is how quick and easy you can do a two-color design with heat transfer vinyl. All right, but just keep in mind whenever you are accepting jobs for heat transfer vinyl, how many colors are in that design and how intricate is the design, because that's how much time you're going to be spending in production cutting and weeding out all of those pieces. Now, UltraWeed is really great for getting intricacy. So if you ever do find yourself getting artwork from a customer that has really intricate designs, then UltraWeed is definitely one you will want to consider for that. Another great feature of this product is how soft and lightweight the product is, and how matte it is as well. So not only is it a great solution for low temp applications, but it also feels amazing on those soft tri-blend tees as well. All right, so we reviewed CAD-CUT thermofilm being great for some of those dye inhibiting options that you may get requests for. CAD-CUT UltraWeed, another great basic matte heat transfer vinyl. It's my go-to heat transfer vinyl when it comes to lightweight t-shirt orders and projects like that. Now, beyond your basic matte heat transfer vinyls and pretty much your go-to solutions, there are other products and finishes that allow you to reach different markets and speak to different demographics, right? So heat transfer vinyl, as I mentioned earlier, you can get a lot of unique effects and special finishes in this product very easily. All right, so this is Glitter Flake, and I'm really excited to show you the finish of this if you haven't seen something like this yet. So Glitter Flake is a very popular finish for some of those special markets like dance, cheer, spirit wear, and things like that. The t-shirt that we're going to be applying our Glitter Flake on is a J America tee. It's a glitter tee, which means it has metallic thread woven throughout the cotton t-shirt to give it that glitter effect. But no worries, Glitter Flake applies great to this type of product. We're not worried about that metallic thread causing any issue. All right, so quick preheat. All right, that's another good habit to get into, doing a test of your pressure and a preheat on your garments to release any moisture or wrinkles. All right, so I'm just placing my Glitter Flake down. This was actually ordered as a transfer through our production, so I didn't actually cut this out on a vinyl cutter, but this is still a very easy product to cut out on a vinyl cutter. So just keep that in mind. Just because there are special effect finishes out there so that you can reach different markets doesn't mean that it gets harder to cut on the vinyl cutter. It will require a different downforce and a different speed, but it's still very easily achievable. Glitter Flake is a hot peel, so we can go ahead and peel that back. I love working with hot peel products because it's like instant gratification. You just get to peel that carrier and it's done. You get to see the finished result. So glitter flake, it has a true glitter texture to it, and you can just see by the way the light hits it how it just truly sparkles and shines. So you can see why this would be a very popular special effect finish and heat transfer vinyl for some of those markets like cheer, dance, and spirit and fan wear. All right, so that's one of many special effect finishes that you're able to achieve with heat transfer vinyl. One of the newest ones that has been introduced to the industry is soft foam. And I'm going to show you that by doing a mixed media design because mixed media is a very popular effect in heat transfer vinyl designs and projects. So we're going to be pairing CAD-CUT soft foam on top of our fashion foam electric in rose gold on our fleece garment from Boxer Craft. All right, so mixed media is a really great way to be able to increase profit opportunity in your heat transfer vinyl designs. And by pairing it with two special effect finishes just really increases that opportunity even more. So a little bit about soft foam. So Dimension continues to thrive and grow in our industry as far as finishes and textured effects go in different print designs. And soft foam allows you to do that with a vinyl cutter and a heat press. So it has a really nice dimension to it. I'm really excited to show you this finish so that you can see it firsthand. So, of course, let's get our garment loaded on here. Following those same steps with the preheat. My first application, so as we mentioned earlier, when we were working with multiple colors in a design, we do want to start with the largest part of our design or the background layer. All right, so this is my background layer, so I'm just going to place this down. I am working again with a V-neck, so I am going a lot closer to the collar than I typically would with a regular crew neck style of garment. Fashion foam also offers that tacking method solution similar to the way UltraWeed does, but it is a 3 to 5 second tack. My garment is falling off. Here we go. All right, but fashion foam is a hot peel. And as you can see in the lower part of my design where our branding is done for the dance school, it's also able to achieve a decent amount of detail. Now for our top layer being the CAD-CUT soft foam, this is going to layer right over top of this. My garment's a little top heavy from the hood, so I have to keep shifting it backwards. All right, so same thing here. We want to make sure that our Mylar carrier is not scoring or causing an indentation on our back layer. So what we're going to do is tack this for 3 to 5 seconds. But soft foam is a cold pill, so we will have to wait for that to cool before we go in for the final hit of the heat press. All right, so our first cold pill product that we're showcasing today, CAD-CUT soft foam. So we are going to let this cool before we remove that carrier and show you the finish. It is going to need one more hit, though, with the heat press. All right, so to speed up that cool down process, all I'm doing is just like setting it against this cool table. If you have a window next to you, even better, something that's going to help just speed up that cool down process. And as I weed this away, I'm going nice and slow because this is a stretchy garment, and I want to make sure that I am not distorting my image, right? So one thing that can happen whenever you are peeling away your carrier. If I just rip it off, roll fast, and it's applied to a stretchy garment, then I risk the chance of this getting distorted. Looks like I'm having some pressure issue on this one side. So good thing I am going slow. All right, but no worries. We're going to load that right back on the heat press and apply that for the rest of its application it needs. All right, so soft foam applies at 300 degrees for 10 to 12 seconds. So I'm gonna let that get its full time now so that we can cure that adhesive on there. So all of the products that we worked with today are that 50, they are tested to last up to 50 washes. And 50 washes is pretty much the life of the garment. So you're able to get really nice durability with these heat transfer vinyls. All right, and so that you guys can see that dimension of the soft foam and how that really pops off of the garment. I'm gonna hold that nice and close for you guys. And I think just pairing two special effect products and a mixed media design or graphic like this is going to allow you to really increase your profit opportunity. So if I was just doing this in a basic matte heat transfer vinyl, nothing metallic, nothing dimensional like this, I could probably sell it for $25. It is a hoodie. But since I'm able to get this special effect, that metallic and that dimension in this can be anywhere from $35 to $40 for this piece. All right, so that just kind of puts that into perspective on different profit margins that you're able to require for special effects with heat transfer vinyl. And definitely worth it because all of the time that you're putting into producing something like this as well. All right, so to review, CAD-CUT thermofilm, great for dye inhibiting solutions. CAD-CUT UltraWeed is great for those thin, lightweight garments that you need something soft and lightweight for, and those low temp solutions. So don't forget, UltraWeed applies as low as 260 degrees. And sometimes we need a solution like that whenever we're working with heat sensitive materials. We don't want to compromise the finish of the garment just to be able to get a print on there. We also did CAD-CUT Glitter Flake, really great for some of those markets that love high shines that glitter offers. Another great product for that is CAD-CUT Metallic that has a true mirror-like shine. And then our mixed media graphic that offers metallic by using the Fashion Foam Electric and Dimension by pairing that CAD-CUT soft foam right over top of that. If you haven't worked with CAD-CUT soft foam yet, I urge you to. It is such a unique product. There's really nothing else out there on the market like it. It has the dimension that silicone offers, but its ease of use is truly next level. You're able to do a lot of really cool stuff with it. I love working with that product. All right, so next in all things vinyl cutter and heat transfer vinyl, a little bit next level so that you guys can see that this isn't where this ends. There is more that you can do with heat transfer vinyl and vinyl cutting, and that is called print and cut. So we're gonna show you a short clip of how that works, and then we'll do an application. Pretty cool, right? So you're able to really take heat transfer vinyl to the next level by printing multiple colors and photorealistic images on heat transfer vinyl and then transferring it to apparel and accessories so that you have full color solutions for your customers. So let's show you what an application looks like now. So still using the Hotronix auto clam here. I'm going to unload my 16 by 20 platen and drop in a smaller platen so that I can isolate the print area of the accessory that we're going to print. So I'm just gonna load that in. The accessory that we're printing is a canvas tote bag here. So to isolate my print area, I'm gonna open this up and thread this onto my heat press here. And as you can see, since I have a small platen loaded on there, I'm able to isolate the print area that is desired for the location of my transfer. About a 2, which is perfect and ideal for the product that we are working with. So this is Express Print. Really easy product to work with, user-friendly, easy to weed and mask. So I'm just gonna place that there, and it's really the same process as our single color heat transfer vinyl. We just set our time, temperature, and pressure, make sure we're using a cover sheet, and allow our heat press to do the rest of the work for us. Now, if a print cut system isn't something that you are interested in investing in right away, maybe it's just vinyl cutters and single color heat transfer vinyl, no big deal. This is something that we can provide to you as a solution as well. So this is a heat transfer vinyl option that you can order as a transfer, so that you don't have to worry about that investment right now, right? Express Print does offer a nice matte finish, and you're able to get gradients, patterns, a variety of different finishes and print techniques with this type of heat transfer vinyl. I just love Express Print and the look and feel that it has on accessories and apparel, especially just to really like build more profit opportunity in the accessories and items that you're offering. And that wraps up your intro to all things vinyl cutter and heat transfer vinyl. Thanks so much for attending. I'll be sticking around for any questions that you guys have about this particular class.